What's up everyone, it's Aaron from Rudy Visuals, and in today's video we have something very interesting for review. So this is the Tourbox Neo, and this is a creative software controller which is designed to help creatives with things like photo and video editing, graphic design and illustration. Now obviously you traditionally do those things with a mouse and a keyboard, or maybe with a pen and tablet device. And this isn't something that's really supposed to replace those methods entirely, but it's something that can be used together with those things to speed up your workflow and make certain aspects, like shortcuts, more faster, smoother, and a little bit more convenient as well. So when Tourbox got in touch with us to see if we wanted to review this, I was actually very excited to see just how well this would work, particularly in my workflow. So big thank you to Leia over at Tourbox for sending this to us. This isn't a paid or sponsored video in any way, but we did get this sent to us for free to review. But as always, all thoughts and opinions are fully independent. So as hybrid photographers and videographers, we edit videos and photos pretty much all day, every day. And if you're a fellow visual creator or artist, then this is a device that's aimed for people like you and me. And it works with pretty much all of the most popular creative apps that are mostly used, like Photoshop, Lightroom, Final Cut Pro, Illustrator, etc. And it's also fully customizable to your heart's content. So that's something we'll get into a little later on. So firstly, let's go over the price. So you can purchase this directly from the Tourbox website for about $169. You can spend about $10 more to get the carry case. It does seem a little bit pricey for what is essentially a computer peripheral, but to put that into perspective, our keyboard costs over like $150. The mouse was like $100, and this tablet that we use is $300. Our new monitor costs $600, so it's not an unreasonable price to ask, especially when you consider what this thing can actually do. Now, excluding all the potential benefits, one thing that the price does guarantee to give you is extremely nice build quality. This is a nice hefty weight with these rubber feet underneath, so it won't slide about on your desk. And it also has this supremely nice, luxurious feeling soft touch material, and all the buttons, all the scroll wheels, they feel very premium. They're very incredibly satisfying to touch and click. Just listen to this thing. So it definitely feels like a premium product, and even the box it comes with, the braided USB-C cable, it all makes you feel like you're getting your money's worth. And in my opinion, it also looks pretty cool with that kind of like stealth matte black finish. It looks like something that Batman would use to control his Batwing, and it won't look out of place no matter what your setup looks like. And I personally really like the size of it too. It's nowhere near as big as something like a loop deck, for example, which would take up more real estate on your desk. There are 11 buttons along with 3 clickable dials in total, but you can combine some of these with like some shortcuts and key commands. I kind of wish there was some kind of backlighting or illumination for those of you who work all night long. I think this would make it look even cooler as well if it did. There's only like a small green indicator light to let you know that it's connected. But right off the bat, all these dials and buttons, they help to create this much more hands-on tactile experience, similar to what like an editing tablet does. But when you use them both in unison, it's almost like driving with one hand on a steering wheel and the other on the gear shifter. So to get started, you do need to go to the Tourbox website and download the Tourbox console software, which is compatible with both Windows and Mac, thankfully. You can also download official presets for most of the widely used software on the website, which is all free of charge. There's some user-made presets as well. So let's go over to the computer and show you how this works. So once you have the Tourbox console software downloaded and installed, plug it in and open up the software. It'll take a few moments to connect, and here you can see what all of your buttons do. We have some pre-installed presets here for Lightroom and Premiere for editing and for color grading. And if you do want to install any additional ones, for example, your Photoshops or your After Effects, etc., you can go over to the website, download those presets, hit import preset, find where you downloaded it. And this one is for After Effects, and that installs your preset. If it says here no link, you just need to click on this and then find the program so it links. So if you press any of the buttons or dials, it will take you to exactly what that does. So for example, the knob, if I click on it, it doesn't have anything set for pressing it, but it will adjust the slider if I move it left and right. So you get this little overlay here that you can move around when you're in your program. So you can see what the arrow key shortcuts do. It will change if you press your bumper button, so that will change it to the presets that have been set. You can also move this around, and you can also change it. You can make it bigger if you want. You can make it darker. I prefer the bright one. And you can also change the opacity as well. As you can see, if I click on the timeline, I can very quickly scroll through the timeline with this dial here. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. Got a quick play button, pause, play. Small things like marking your in and out, I can just do very quickly on the device itself. So there's a different preset here for color, and this actually changes all of your shortcuts to be more specific for color grading. So for example, if I select tint, I can very quickly adjust the tint up. We'll go to my temperature, can then dial in my temperature, make it more cold or make it more warmer. I can go over to exposure, adjust my exposure and my contrast. Now that we have opened Lightroom, as you can see, Tourbox has already identified that I'm in Lightroom, and all of my shortcuts have changed to specific preset for Lightroom. So for example, if I hit up, I can adjust the highlights, left to adjust the blacks, right to adjust the whites, and down to adjust the shadows. And this other bumper, I've got clarity, vibrance, dehaze, saturation. With the dial here, I can change between the hue, the saturation, the luminance, and then choose which one I want to adjust, for example, the greens. So very, very simple. So we've opened up Photoshop, and again, it's automatically detected that we are in Photoshop. So typically when we're editing photos in Photoshop, we would use this editing pad with a keyboard, kind of like side by side. So with the Tourbox, I find it's quite useful to use them both in unison. Obviously you have your own kind of shortcuts with the editing pad itself, but it's quite nice to be able to, you know, make your adjustments, make your edits, and then also use the Tourbox in unison. So you can like zoom in and out and select your healing tools, your stamp tools, your brush tools, all directly from the actual Tourbox itself. This tool button has replaced the Alt shortcut, so we can use that to choose our selection and then clean out our spots. And then if you want to adjust the brush size, you can literally just dial it in with this dial, choose our selection and work away. So customizing your presets are very easy as well. So for example, we have the knob button to press. It's not set to anything. Literally just click on that and it has options for pretty much all of the keyboard shortcuts that you can imagine. Let's say, for example, you wanted to set it to lights out mode, hit OK. If you wanted to reset it, just hit reset, OK. So really simple, very easy to use. I believe they update this fairly often, and there's lots of user-made presets you can download already from the website. Now, if you wanted to create your own presets, you can click the Create New Preset. Let's say you want to make one for Premiere for editing. Let's call it Custom Editing. And then it's simply a matter of choosing what you want everything to do. I find that it's helpful to go to the built-in functions, find the program that you want to use the preset with, and then find the specific function that you want for that particular button or dial. But yeah, that's pretty much how easy it is to use the Tourbox console alongside your controller. So I have been using this now for about 3-ish weeks, and quite honestly, I actually love this thing. I think the biggest issue is probably the learning curve. So I've been using this with Premiere and Photoshop, a little bit of Lightroom primarily, and it probably took me like, I'd say a good week or so of solid use every day to get sort of fully accustomed to using it and getting it set up and customized to what I want it to do. And at first it actually did slow me down quite a lot because I wanted to use it and I had to try and get that muscle memory down, try to remember what all the shortcuts did. But once you've got that memory down, you do realize, wow, this thing really does make your editing experience. It makes it more fluid, it's faster too. And once I got over that learning curve, I have found it pretty difficult to actually go back to not having it on my desk. Now that learning curve might be shorter for some people, it might be twice as long for someone else. It really does come down to the individual, but 100% once you get over that learning curve, it does make editing videos and photos a lot more easy and more convenient in Premiere and Photoshop. Now I can't speak for other programs, but I imagine if you're like a graphic designer or an illustrator, this would be similarly useful as well. Now, other things that I would say could be improved about this, well, perhaps, you know, the illuminated buttons or backlighting, or making it wireless also be pretty cool. But honestly, these are such small nitpicky issues. apart from that, there isn't really much wrong with this. So for me, it's getting a very, very strong recommendation. And honestly, anything that has the potential to, you know, save you time is worth the investment, in my opinion. Especially if this is your trade, your source of income, is what you do every day, all day, every day. You know, $169 isn't that big of a pill to swallow, and you're getting something that generally makes the creative editing process faster and more intuitive. The controller itself, like I said, is so well made. The software worked great. And once you get over that initial learning curve, you're gonna be editing photos, videos, drawing illustrations faster than ever before. And I can't wait to see what Tourbox can come up with next, really. So if you're interested in picking one of these up for yourself, which I highly recommend you do, there will be links in the description box below. Thanks Tourbox once again for sending this to us and making this video possible. If you like this video and found it useful, then do me a huge favor, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. And follow us on socials, Facebook, Insta, all that good stuff if you want to see more. And I guess I'll see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.